Welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, today we are diving into an absolute masterclass on peak performance and honestly supreme responsibility. We're unpacking a legendary excerpt from the ancient Mahabharata, zooming in specifically on a young warrior named Arjuna and his legendary preceptor Drona. We're going to break down the literal anatomy of a true champion. We'll look at how this extreme, almost terrifying level of focus leads to ultimate power, and then how that exact same power suddenly demands an incredibly heavy burden of discipline.
But let me kick things off with a quick question for you. When you look at your ultimate goal right now, what's staring back at you? Do you see all the complicated steps to get there? Do you see the obstacles standing in your way? Maybe you see the people around you watching? Hold on to whatever your answer is, because we're about to see how our protagonist, Arjuna, answered that exact question. And spoiler alert, his answer completely separated him from every other student in his ranks and literally altered the course of his life.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the test of true focus.
So, in our source text, the great preceptor Drona decides to test his pupils. He places this artificial wooden bird high up in a tree, and he calls his students up one by one to take aim. He tells them, "Be ready to let your arrow fly the exact instant I give the order." Now, this setup brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast between your average person and the truly elite. When Drona asks the regular students what they see while their bows are drawn, they give a totally normal, expected human answer. They see the bird, they see the tree it's sitting in, and they even see Drona standing right there. They're fully aware of their whole environment. But then, Arjuna steps up. He draws his bow, and his vision is terrifyingly narrow. Drona asks him the exact same question, and Arjuna replies that he sees the bird only. No tree. No teacher, just the target.
Drona actually pushes him a bit further. He says, okay, if you see the vulture, describe it to me. And this brings us to Arjuna's iconic, game-changing reply. Arjuna says, I see only the head of the vulture, not its body. He has completely tuned out the world. The tree, the teacher, and even the body of his own target are just gone. He is locked solely onto the strike point. The text actually notes that at these exact words, the hair on Drona's body literally stood on end from sheer delight. Drona just says, shoot, and in a flash, Arjuna's sharp shaft speeds through the air, completely strikes off the head of the vulture, and brings it straight to the ground.
The execution here is just flawless. It's so purely concentrated that it actually creates a massive psychological shift for Drona. No sooner is the deed done than Drona just grabs Arjuna and clasps him to his chest. And look, this isn't just a teacher being proud of a good shot. It's a profound realization of what this kid is capable of. The text points out that in that singular moment, Drona thought his greatest rival, Drupada, and all his friends had already been vanquished in fight. Think about that. Drona realizes that Arjuna's laser focus makes him such an unstoppable force that he's functionally defeating future enemies before a war even begins.
Which brings us to Section 2, Danger in the Sacred River.
Okay, we are escalating things big time here. We're going from a highly controlled theoretical archery test to a completely chaotic, unpredictable life-or-death scenario. Drona, with all his pupils in tow, heads down to the bank of the sacred river Ganga to bathe. Here's how fast it goes down. First, Drona plunges into the stream. Second, out of nowhere, a massive alligator, which the text vividly describes as being sent by Death himself, seizes Drona right by the thigh. Now, step 3 is absolutely critical to understand. Drona is a master. He is incredibly powerful. The text explicitly tells us he's quite capable of freeing himself. But instead, he intentionally feigns helplessness. He cries out for his pupils to kill the monster and save him. He's using this sudden, terrifying crisis to test their real-world readiness. And fourth, Arjuna strikes.
We really need to compare the reactions to this sudden burst of violence, because this is exactly where true champions separate themselves from everyone else. The ordinary students, they experienced complete, paralyzing panic. The text says they stood confounded, each at his place. They were literally rooted to the ground in shock. But Arjuna? The text uses this beautiful, precise phrase, he acted contemporaneously with this speech, meaning he didn't need time to process the shock. He didn't need to formulate a plan. His readiness was so absolute that his action happened in the exact same fraction of a second as Drona's cry for help.
And you've got to appreciate the staggering detail of this moment, the number 5. In that split second, while literally everyone else is frozen solid in terror, Arjuna fires exactly 5 sharp, irresistible arrows right underwater. He perfectly strikes this monster beneath the surface, cutting it to pieces and forcing it to let go of Drona. The sheer precision and speed it takes to fire 5 devastating arrows below the water's surface in the blink of an eye is just staggering.
Let's move on to Section 3,
the ultimate weapon.
Because of this insane focus under pressure and this unmatched readiness, Drona elevates Arjuna. He takes him from just being a top student to becoming the keeper of a truly terrifying power. He bestows upon him the Brahmasira. Now, the text defines this as way more than just a standard tool of war. It's a very superior and irresistible weapon. It comes with highly specific, complex methods for both hurling it and recalling it. Drona literally tells Arjuna that this weapon hath not appear in the three worlds. It is, without a doubt, the absolute pinnacle of destructive capability.
But here's the catch, and this is Section 4, the burden of power.
Being granted this level of supreme capability immediately introduces a crushing, world-ending level of responsibility. Drona doesn't just hand this thing over and say, "Hey, congratulations." He attaches a profound and, frankly, terrifying condition to it. Listen to this chilling warning. Drona tells him, "Thou must not, however, ever use it against any human foe, for if hurled at any foe endued with inferior energy, it might burn the whole universe." Just let that sink in for a second. This weapon is so unbelievably powerful that using it against an ordinary mortal enemy wouldn't just kill the guy, it would literally incinerate the entire universe.
So let's quickly outline the strict parameters Drona places on this power. Rule 1, never use it against a human foe. Rule 2, it may burn the universe if you misuse it against inferior energy. Rule 3, if ever a non-human foe contends against you, only then may you employ it for their death in battle. And Rule 4, it must be kept with great care. Arjuna actually has to pledge himself to follow these rules to the letter before receiving the weapon with joined hands. And this proves something crucial. True mastery in this ancient text is defined by the discipline to withhold ultimate power, not just having the ability to unleash it.
And once Arjuna pledges his restraint, Drona offers him this final, incredibly powerful prophecy. He says, "None else in this world will ever become a superior bowman to thee. Vanquished thou shalt never be by any foe, and thy achievements will be great." Because Arjuna has proven his absolute focus on that wooden bird, his rapid readiness against the alligator in the sacred river, and his capacity for immense restraint with the Brahmasira, his destiny as an unparalleled, unconquerable champion is completely sealed.
We've seen the extreme focus it takes to earn true power, and the massive burden required to wield it safely. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a provocative thought. If you were handed the ultimate power today, whether that's in your career, in your personal life, or with your resources, would you actually have the discipline to hold it back? Would you have the restraint to use it only when absolutely necessary? Or would you let it burn your universe? Think about that, and keep striving for that ultimate focus.